You mentioned in the corridor about the difference between the first and the third location. What would you say are the biggest lessons, based on the fact that you guys haven't done anything like this before? What were some of the biggest personal lessons that you've had from what you envisioned was going to be the first one, and where you are now with this third location that's just opened?
The first is our design language has changed. As we were saying earlier, it sort of takes a couple just to understand what your language is and what your stamp is, what your until stamp is. And I feel like we've slowly got there. We've understood, from a cost point of view, where's the best use of our money to be for our members? Like, what are the things we spend on that makes a material difference to their experience in the space versus what are the costs we put on bits of the building which no one sees or interacts with, which we've made a few of those mistakes. And look, you learn as you go. But I think we've learned how to better utilize our space, how much space we need for each profession. That's been a huge learning for us. So we've optimized every single build we've done so far. We've further optimized. I think I'd say roughly 30 to 40% better each time. And that's not just the design, that's the services, the quality of product, the infrastructure that we've put behind the rooms, the technology we've integrated throughout the building to make the building smart. And that allows us to capture data on our members that no one else normally would. I spoke to you earlier about the heat maps we can create by seeing the way our members use the space, and we take all of that information and take that to provide a much better experience for them in the next few spaces. So I think it's more optimizing of space opposed to any material shift in terms of design. Yeah.
What about you, Vish?
I mean, I think ultimately when you're building physical space, it's obviously very different to building an app, right? Not to say that it's not difficult to create the right screens, but if the screen is not right, it's a bit easier to change than if you're having to take down walls and so. But I think one of the philosophies is you could sit there and you could sweat it to the nth detail, and guess what? You'll never do anything. So, you've got to accept that when you build a facility, it's going to be wrong, but by how much, right? And our job is to make sure that it's not 50% wrong, because that gets quite expensive. But, we continue to refine and evolve that. And look, we are done, right? Now with Marylebone, we know our product. We won't be extending beyond that. There's not going to be a world where Until is delivering operating theatres. We have our hospital partners that do that, and they do a brilliant job of that, and we'd rather build those relationships. But now it will be a case of taking what we built and just really refining it, building a blueprint. And as Dan said, like that's the DNA of the business. That's our IP, knowing what it takes to make sure that you house an environment which creates the right community. I mean, yesterday, one of the best bits of feedback we got from one of our members was, "You built a facility that makes me want to up my game." That's the feedback we want, right? Not your space is beautiful, not, "Oh, I love that kit." Like, the outcome is, if you're gonna come in and feel inspired, whether that's by our community, by the space, whatever it is, we want our members to leave feeling inspired, and that's the focus.
How do you work that from a brand perspective? Because I guess your brand is not necessarily, you're sort of working indirectly. So how do you position your brand where it does exactly what that client said, and do you sort of have an idea of a sort of a do you have an avatar in mind where you try to predict what your clients are going to want to bring in, or how do you do that? Because that sounds like quite a difficult thing to get your head around.
I mean, the guy that leads brand in our business is probably neither one of us, and so I'll try not to butcher this. But I think that I think our brand needs to your point exactly, needs to, as a result, live subtly in our space. Right, what you won't hopefully see when you walk around our space is Until plastered everywhere, right? Because actually it's about helping these guys know that they can build a business on this platform. And increasingly, the way we think about the business and where it's going is that we'll be powering our practitioners, but we'll equally be powering other people's facilities. We'll equally be powering other people's businesses and propositions, right? I mean, there's a huge drive around corporate health and wellness. And when we saw that, our first reaction was, we've got this great opportunity where we've got the physical practitioners here. That's what businesses want. They want their employees to be able to go somewhere and see these brilliant practitioners. And so we could have run away and started building all these propositions for these corporates in serving that. But actually what, one of our aha moments a couple of weeks ago was, well, why do that when actually there's already these fantastic health and wellness entrepreneurs building these corporate propositions? They've got little teams, and why don't we go to those guys and say, look, what you don't have is physical premises. So when you need physical premises to deliver your service, use our Until platform. And guess what? You're not going to hire every speciality you need, but I bet you, across the 40 different specialities we have, we'll have one that fits probably better for your consumers' need than elsewhere. So come and join our platform. So I'd rather we as a business support those guys build their businesses.